Senator Shaheen.
Well, thank you. I'd like to follow up on Senator Fisher's point and the issue that both Senators Wicker and Reid raised in their opening statement about the efforts in Ukraine. Senator Blumenthal and I were in Odessa about 2 weeks ago, and we were in a room that was about a sixth of the size of this room, and it was filled with drones. This is an example of a couple of those. They were ranging in size, as you can see, from very small, maybe a square foot, to quite large, the size of a snowblower. And we ask, who's making those drones? And are any of them coming from the US? And they said no. And we said, why? Because what the US is doing costs too much, and it's not technologically advanced enough. And that was troubling, but what was even more troubling was to hear from virtually, as part of that trip, I also visited several countries in Eastern Europe, and virtually every member of our military who briefed us said that we do not have anyone in Ukraine taking advantage of the technological advancements that are happening there. And that Ukraine has become, and I said this to Bridge Colby earlier this week in testimony, I said what we heard was that Ukraine had become a bad word in the Pentagon. So you're talking about 6 months as being expedited scheduling. What they were talking about in Ukraine was iterating those drones every 2 weeks because of warfare. I don't know how we think we're going to compete if we're talking about an every 6 month schedule and we're looking at our adversaries who are iterating on a weekly basis. And I applaud the effort that's underway, the Drone Dominance Program. I voted for that in the NDAA. I thought it was important. But it doesn't feel to me like there is a sense of urgency about what our challenge is. So I'd like for you to respond to that.
Senator, we feel that same sense of urgency. We are morally committed to this effort. I'd like Travis to discuss the results at Benning.
So why aren't we taking advantage of the technological advancements that the Ukrainians have made? I noticed that Prime Minister Starmer has asked them to help with what's going on in the Middle East right now. Why are we not trying to take more advantage of that?
Senator, we are. We specifically built a framework and invited the best Ukrainian FPV drone companies in the world to come to our competition on the basis that their battlefield technology is proven and they have proven they know how to scale. In the long term, the commitment from those businesses is to relocate the core manufacturing to the U.S. Those drone companies came to the competition, and a few of them are likely to get orders.
Right. I saw that 2 of them have been down-selected for phase 1. I understand that. But again, I find it troubling that our service members who are in the region don't seem to have the understanding that we are really interested in what's going on there and are trying to get that information. I want to switch to another question because the U.S. market has only one company that produces drone propulsion motors, and that's ePropelled in Laconia, New Hampshire. It's one of the most glaring deficits in our domestic market, as I'm sure you all know. And the fact that it only exists in New Hampshire right now is one of the keys to ensuring that we can do the drone build-out that we need to do. Many of our defense suppliers in New Hampshire have benefited from the submarine supplier development funding through the Navy in the maritime industrial base context. So can you share whether the department is thinking about supporting capital investments that can help companies like ePropelled as they're looking at the investments they need to make in order to build out the supply chain that we're going to need?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. I've met multiple times with Nick, the CEO of ePropelled. I think it is a wonderful example of where we are headed. He is building brushless motors in New Hampshire, and he is a supplier to a number of the drone companies that will be receiving orders from this. And I do think that he is a candidate for both continued demand signal from us and further support from the Department of War.
So I'm out of time, but if you could speak to the help that we might be able to provide small businesses for investments that we're going to need in order to build out, that would
Go
be
ahead and do
appreciated.
that. Go ahead and do that.
So, Senator, one of the things that we hope to shine a light on are supply chain constraints. And two of our colleagues in the department stand at the ready, the Office of Strategic Capital and IBAS, to do direct lending to firms like ePropel. We first met Nick months ago, and this is a great example of an American small business that's going to get ready to scale on behalf of our defense.
And we are going to be able to help some of those small companies as they look at what they need to do to build out.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
IBAS stands for?
Interesting, but.
Industrial